Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into a topic that can make or break a startup. Today, we're talking traction.
And I'm not talking about just any traction. I mean, the kind that gets your startup soaring. We're talking about explosive, sustainable growth.
That's right, we're not just building a product, we're building a movement. And to guide us, we're turning to a true innovator, Gabriel Weinberg, and his book, Traction.
Weinberg, the mastermind behind DuckDuckGo, knows a thing or two about standing out in a crowded market.
Exactly. He built a search engine that respects your privacy in a world dominated by, well, you know who.
And what I love about Weinberg's approach is he doesn't sugarcoat the hard stuff.
Yeah, he cuts right through the noise, like that whole build it and they will come myth.
He calls it the product trap. When startups get so laser focused on building something amazing that they forget to actually build an audience for it.
Ouch, yeah, that's the trap I've seen firsthand. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new product and forget that, well, you got to get people excited about it too.
You need a plan, a system to make it happen.
So how do we escape that trap? What's Weinberg's secret weapon?
He calls it the bullseye framework.
Okay, I'm intrigued. The bullseye framework sounds strategic.
It's like this. Imagine a target, right? With those concentric circles. Each circle represents a stage in your quest for traction.
I'm visualizing it. Okay, so walk me through these stages.
Step 1 is pure brainstorming. Unleash your creativity and list every possible channel where you could find your customers. Don't censor yourself. No idea is too crazy at this point.
Got it. So go wild, think outside the box.
Yeah.
But I imagine that can get a little overwhelming, right? I mean, there are so many possibilities. Where do you even start after brainstorming up a storm?
That's where step 2 comes in. Ranking those channels. Take a deep dive into each one and ask, does this channel resonate with my target audience? Does it align with my industry and my budget? It's all about identifying those golden opportunities.
It's about separating the good ideas from the, well, not so good ideas.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot, the channels that make the most sense for your unique business.
So you're saying it's not just about chasing the latest marketing trends. It's about choosing what's right for you.
Exactly. And that leads us to step 3, prioritizing.
Okay, so we've brainstormed, we've ranked our options, now we prioritize. So we're laser focusing our efforts now, right?
Precisely. We're identifying the channels that offer the greatest potential return on investment. But here's the thing, even with the most promising channels.
You don't want to go all in just yet.
Exactly. Weinberg is a huge advocate for testing the waters first. Step 4 is all about small-scale experiments.
So dip your toe in before jumping head first.
Exactly. Run a few targeted ads, experiment with messaging, see what sticks.
Gather that data, see what your audience responds to. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. And based on your test results, you can then move on to step 5, focusing.
Okay, so this is where we double down on what's working. It's like finding a winning lottery ticket and buying a whole stack of them.
I like that analogy, but it's more than just doubling down. It's about understanding why something works and optimizing those channels for maximum impact.
That makes sense. So it's a continuous process of refining and improving. But, sometimes even with the best laid plans, startups stumble. What happens when we hit those bumps in the road?
That's where Weinberg's emphasis on learning comes in. He believes in the power of not just our own experiences, but learning from others in our industry.
So learning from others' mistakes, kind of like avoiding those entrepreneurial landmines that others have already stepped on.
Exactly. It's about leveraging the collective wisdom of those who've come before us. Don't repeat the same mistakes.
I love that. But how do we know if we're on the right track? How do we actually measure success in this whole traction game?
That's where having the right metrics comes in. Are you aiming for downloads, signups, sales, website traffic? The metrics you track should align with your specific goals.
So it's not one size fits all. It's about choosing what matters most to your business at that specific moment.
Right. And here's a crucial point. Weinberg argues that many startups actually give up too early. They don't give their chosen channels enough time to gain traction.
You're telling me. Starting a business can feel like, well, a roller coaster ride with its fair share of ups and downs. You pour your heart and soul into it, and some days you just want to throw in the towel.
It's a real test of resilience, isn't it?
Absolutely. But that's where Weinberg's insights are pure gold. It's that reminder to stay the course, to weather the storm. Speaking of weathering storms, one traction channel in his book really caught my eye: unconventional PR.
Ah, yes. The art of the unexpected.
It sounds exciting, like a breath of fresh air in the sometimes stuffy world of marketing. So what exactly is unconventional PR?
It's about breaking the mold, you know? It's about grabbing attention and creating a buzz that traditional PR just can't replicate.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me some examples.
Well, there's the classic case of half.com, remember them? They actually convinced a small town to rename itself half.com. Can you imagine?
Wow, talk about a bold move. That must have generated some serious buzz.
It certainly did. They understood the power of a well-executed publicity stunt. Of course, not every stunt needs to be that extravagant. The key is to be creative and capture people's imaginations.
It's about finding that sweet spot between being daring and staying relevant to your brand. But those stunts, they can be a bit, well, fleeting, right? Like a flash in the pan. What about a more sustained approach?
That's where consistent customer appreciation comes in.
Ah, yes. Building goodwill, not just hype.
Exactly. A fantastic example of this is Chargify. They're incredibly proactive about pitching their own customers as potential media stories.
That's brilliant. So they're not just selling a product, they're building relationships and championing their customers.
Precisely. And it's a win-win situation. The customers get free publicity, and Chargify strengthens its brand reputation. Speaking of building brand reputation, have you ever seen that Dollar Shave Club video that went viral a few years back?
Oh, absolutely. Hilarious. They managed to turn a simple product like razors into a viral sensation. That's the power of a well-crafted message.
Absolutely. And they did it with a relatively small budget, proving that you don't need a Hollywood budget to make a big splash.
Speaking of making a splash, let's talk about the digital realm specifically. Search engine marketing, or SEM. It's a bit of a jungle out there, isn't it?
It can certainly seem that way.
Yeah, with all those acronyms and technical jargon.
But it doesn't have to be overwhelming. At its heart, SE is about ensuring your website pops up at the top of those search results when people are looking for, well, what you offer.
So it's about capturing those valuable leads right when they're actively searching for a solution.
Exactly. And it's much more targeted than traditional advertising. You're only paying when someone actually clicks on your ad.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So how does it work? What are the key ingredients to a successful SM campaign?
It all starts with understanding the metrics. We've got click-through rate, or CTR, which tells you how many people are, actually clicking on your ad. Then there's cost per click, or CPC, pretty self-explanatory, how much you're shelling out for each click. And of course, we can't forget conversion rate, which is the magic number, how many of those clicks actually transform into paying customers.
So the ultimate goal is to optimize those clicks, make them count, turn them into loyal customers.
But isn't it easy to blow your budget on SM if you're not careful? I mean, it can get pretty competitive, right?
It can, which is why Weinberg stresses the importance of starting small. Just like with any traction channel, don't go all in right away. He uses the example of archives.com, which is a fascinating case study.
What do they do? They used those early SEM campaigns to refine their product messaging and positioning even before their website was fully up and running.
Wow, so it was like a testing ground for their entire brand.
Exactly. It provided them with valuable data about what resonated with their target audience. And that's something you can replicate, even with a limited budget. Start with a small campaign, maybe 4 ads, and see what happens. Don't be afraid to experiment.
It's about being strategic and gathering that data to make informed decisions.
Precisely. And here's a little insider tip from Weinberg himself. Don't shy away from those long-tail keywords.
Long-tail keywords, what are those?
Think of them as longer, more specific phrases that people use when they're closer to making a purchase. They might have a lower search volume, but they're often less competitive.
So it's about finding those hidden gems, those niche keywords that your competitors might be missing.
Exactly. It's about being strategic, being specific, and meeting your audience where they are in their buying journey.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light. This is all about working smarter, not harder.
And speaking of working smarter, there's another fascinating concept that Weinberg introduces: engineering as marketing. Have you heard of this?
It's a new one for me. I'm intrigued. Engineering as marketing. Tell me more.
It's about shifting your mindset. Instead of just building a product, you're building tools that provide genuine value to your target audience.
So it's like you're not just selling something, you're offering something valuable, something that solves a problem.
Exactly. It's about becoming a trusted resource, a go-to source for your target audience.
Give me an example. I'm having trouble picturing this.
Let's say you're a company that specializes in, website optimization. You could create a free tool that analyzes website speed and performance.
Okay, so people can just plug in their website, see how it stacks up?
And boom, you're providing real value while subtly showcasing your expertise. It's a win-win.
I love that. So these tools, they become like Long-term assets.
Exactly. They can generate leads and build brand awareness long after the initial development effort. They work for you even while you sleep. But moving on from engineering, Weinberg also talks about the power of blogs, right?
Right. Vlogs. So how do we leverage those effectively? I mean, everyone and their grandmother has a blog these days.
True, but it's not just about having a blog, it's about tapping into existing communities. Weinberg highlights a company called Mint, remember them? They were masters at leveraging blog partnerships.
Mint. Oh, yeah. They really blew up a few years ago. What was their secret?
Their strategy was twofold: VIP access and content partnerships.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more about this VIP access.
It's all about rewarding your early adopters and turning them into, like, raving fans.
So make them feel special. Give them a reason to shout about your brand from the rooftops.
Exactly. Mint incentivized their pre-launch waiting list by offering priority access to those who referred new signups. They tapped into that word-of-mouth magic.
That's clever. Create a buzz, reward those who spread the love. So simple, yet so effective. What are those content partnerships you mentioned?
That's where you team up with influential voices in your industry. Mint partnered with established websites like The Motley Fool, providing high-quality content that resonated with their readership.
So it's about borrowing that credibility, that established audience.
Exactly. It's a win-win. You're getting your brand in front of a whole new audience and providing value at the same time.
It's like hitching your wagon to a star. So we've got blogs, we've got engineering as marketing, we've got unconventional PR. Weinberg throws a lot of ideas out there.
He does, and he doesn't just focus on the digital realm. He also emphasizes the importance of good old-fashioned sales.
Right, you can't forget about the human touch.
Exactly. He talks about building a repeatable sales model, a system that brings in those leads and turns them into happy, paying customers.
So it's not just about closing individual deals, it's about building a system that works.
Precisely. And a big part of that is designing a sales funnel that gently guides those potential customers towards making that purchase. Think of it like a map leading them to that treasure your product.
A treasure map for customers. I like it. It makes it seem less like a hard sell and more like an adventure.
Exactly. And speaking of adventures, let's talk about affiliate programs. They can be a fantastic way to reach a wider audience, often without breaking the bank.
Okay, affiliate programs, I've heard that term thrown around. Break it down for me. How do they work?
Essentially, you're incentivizing others to promote your product or service. They get a commission for every sale they generate.
So you're leveraging the power of recommendations of word-of-mouth marketing.
Precisely. It's like having an army of brand ambassadors spreading the word far and wide.
That's powerful stuff. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from online ads to offline events, from quirky PR stunts to building thriving online communities. It's a lot to take in. Where do we even begin?
It can feel overwhelming, right? But that's where Weinberg's bullseye framework comes in handy. It's about testing the waters, experimenting with different channels, and finding what works best for your unique business.
It's about finding your own recipe for success, not trying to copy someone else's formula.
Exactly. And remember, the entrepreneurial journey is a marathon, not a sprint.
So true. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive filled with actionable insights. As we wrap up, what's the one piece of advice, that golden nugget of wisdom, that you want our listeners to walk away with?
Don't wait for success to come to you. Go out there and grab it. Start experimenting, start building relationships, start taking action today.
Love it. Action is key. And on that note, a huge thank you to our expert for sharing their incredible insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this exciting journey through the world of traction. We hope you've gained some valuable knowledge and feel inspired to take your startup to the next level. Until next time, keep dreaming big and keep hustling hard.